Commander Jake Morrison stood at the window of his ship, the Horizon, and stared at the planet below. It was beautiful. Purple clouds swirled around 3 moons, and the cities glowed with soft blue light. This was Valthos, home to the Valthene Empire. Jake had dreamed of this moment for years. First contact, real aliens, real diplomacy. But right now, he felt sick to his stomach. "Commander, we're ready for transport," said Lieutenant Amy Brooks. She stood behind him, in her crisp uniform, datapad in hand. Amy never looked nervous, but Jake could see the tension in her shoulders. Jake nodded. "Let's go meet our new friends." The transport beam pulled them down to the planet's surface. When the light faded, Jake found himself standing in the most incredible room he had ever seen. The ceiling stretched up so high he could barely see it. Crystal columns rose from the floor, each one glowing with inner light. Hundreds of Valthene stood in rows, watching them. The Valthene were tall, much taller than humans. Their skin had a faint silver shimmer, and their eyes were large and bright. They wore flowing robes in deep colors, purple and blue and green. Jake felt very small and very human. At the far end of the room, on a raised platform, sat Queen Lysara. Jake had seen pictures, but they did not do her justice. She was stunning. Her silver skin seemed to glow. Her robes were the color of midnight, covered in tiny lights that looked like stars. On her head sat a crown of crystal that caught the light and threw rainbows across the room. "Walk forward," whispered Dr. Helen Carter, Jake's cultural advisor. She was a short woman with gray hair and thick glasses. She had spent 5 years studying every piece of information they had about the Valthene. "Remember what we practiced." Jake started walking. His crew followed behind him. Each step echoed in the massive room. Every Valthene eye was on him. His heart pounded. They reached the platform. Jake looked up at Queen Lysara. She looked down at him with those large, bright eyes. He could not read her expression. "Your Majesty," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "On behalf of Earth and all humanity, I bring greetings. We come in peace and friendship." The Queen's translator device, a small silver pin on her robe, spoke in perfect English. "Welcome, Commander Morrison. We have waited long to meet your kind." There was. Their welcome, Commander Morrison. This was it. The moment Jake had practiced 100 times, he reached into his jacket and pulled out a small box. Inside was a crystal from Earth, specially cut and polished. It was not as impressive as the Valthene crystals, but it was the best they had. Dr. Carter had been very clear about the procedure. Present the gift. Place hand over heart. Bow slightly. Simple. Jake held out the crystal. "A gift from our world to yours, as a symbol of our desire for peace." Queen Lysara reached down and took the crystal. Her fingers were long and graceful. She held it up to the light and smiled. "It is beautiful." Jake placed his hand over his heart, just as he had practiced. "We hope this is the beginning of a long friendship between our peoples." The room went silent. It was not the good kind of silent. It was the kind of silent that made Jake's skin prickle. He looked at Amy. Her eyes were wide. He looked at Dr. Carter. She had gone completely white and was frantically scrolling through her datapad. Queen Lysara stared at him. Her mouth was open slightly. Around the room, Valthene were whispering to each other. Some looked shocked. Some looked confused. One elderly Valthene in the front row looked like he might faint. Then Queen Lysara started to laugh. It was not a mean laugh. It was warm and musical, like bells ringing. But it was definitely a laugh. The Queen covered her mouth with one hand, her shoulders shaking. She tried to stop, took a breath, and then laughed again. Jake felt his face burning. What had he done wrong? "I am sorry," the Queen said, still chuckling. "I do not mean to be rude. But Commander Morrison, you do realize that means marriage, right?" Jake's brain stopped working. "What?" The gift from your world. The hand over your heart. Before witnesses in the throne room. Queen Lysara's smile was kind, but her eyes sparkled with amusement. You have just proposed marriage to me, according to our oldest customs. No, Jake said. No, no. That was not. I was trying to show respect. Dr. Carter pushed forward, her face still pale. Your Majesty, please. There has been a terrible mistake. We did not know. Our research must have been incomplete. The Queen held up one hand. The room fell silent again. I understand. You are new to our ways. But the custom is ancient and sacred. You spoke the words before the court. You gave the gift. You marked your heart. She looked at Jake with something like sympathy. The proposal has been made and witnessed. It cannot be undone easily. Jake felt like the floor was falling away beneath him. This was a nightmare. This could not be happening. He had been on the planet for 5 minutes, and he had accidentally proposed to their queen. There must be something we can do, Amy said, stepping forward. Some way to fix this. An old Valthene in elaborate robes stepped up beside the queen's throne. His face was stern. To refuse the proposal now would be a grave insult. It would suggest that Queen Lysara is not worthy, that our people are not worthy. Such an insult has started wars. We do not want war, Jake said quickly. Please, Your Majesty. We came in friendship. I know, said Queen Lysara. She had stopped laughing, but she still looked amused. And I am not angry, Commander. Confused. Perhaps. Surprised. Certainly. But not angry. She stood up from her throne. She was even taller standing, nearly 7 feet. She walked down the steps until she was level with Jake. Up close, he could see that her eyes were not just one color but many, like opals. Here is what I think, she said. This is indeed a mistake. But it is also an opportunity. Our people need to understand each other. What better way than for us to honor the engagement tradition? We will spend time together. Learn about each other. If, after the traditional 6 months, we both agree we are incompatible, there is a legal way to part respectfully. No insult, no war. 6 months? Jake repeated weakly. It is not so long, the Queen said. Her smile was gentle now. And who knows? Perhaps we will find we enjoy each other's company. At the very least, we will have time to build proper diplomatic relations between our peoples. Jake looked at his crew. Amy looked worried. Dr. Carter looked horrified at her own mistake. The other crew members looked shocked. He looked back at Queen Lysara. She was watching him calmly, waiting for his answer. He thought about what would happen if he refused. The alliance Earth needed so badly would be destroyed before it began. Other alien races who threatened human space would see Earth as foolish and disrespectful. And honestly, looking at the Queen's calm, intelligent face, he could think of worse fates than spending 6 months getting to know her. Okay, Jake said. 6 months. We will do this properly. Queen Lysara's smile widened. Excellent. Welcome to the Valthene Empire, Commander Morrison. Or should I say, welcome to your engagement. She offered her hand. Jake took it. Her skin was warm and smooth. Around them, the Valthene court began to murmur. Not angry murmurs. Interested murmurs. As Jake stood there, holding the hand of an alien queen he had just accidentally proposed to, he thought that this was definitely not how he had imagined his first day of diplomatic contact going. Amy leaned close and whispered, The Admiral is going to kill you. Only if I survive the next 6 months, Jake whispered back. Queen Lysara heard and laughed again. Come, my accidental fiancé. Let me show you the palace. We have much to discuss. She led him away from the throne, still holding his hand. Jake followed. Because what else could he do? Behind him, his crew scrambled to keep up. This was really happening. He was engaged to an alien queen. His mother was never going to believe this. Jake sat alone in his quarters aboard the Horizon, his head in his hands. Through the window, he could see Valthos glowing below. Beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. 6 hours ago, he had been a decorated commander on humanity's most important mission. Now he was engaged to an alien queen because he had put his hand on his chest at the wrong moment. The door chimed. "Come in," Jake said. Amy Brooks entered, carrying 2 cups of coffee. She handed one to Jake and sat down across from him. For a moment, they just drank in silence. "This is bad," Jake finally said. "It could be worse," Amy replied. "How? You could be married already." Amy tried to smile, but it did not quite work. "At least you have 6 months to figure this out." 6 months, Jake repeated. "Amy, what am I supposed to do? I am a soldier, not a diplomat. I do not know how to date an alien queen." "Nobody knows how to date an alien queen," Amy pointed out. "This is literally the first time in human history this has happened." The door chimed again. This time it was Dr. Carter, looking exhausted and guilty. Her eyes were red, like she had been crying. "Commander, I am so sorry," she said. "I studied everything we had about Valthene customs. Everything. I do not know how I missed this." Jake waved her to a chair. "It is not your fault. We were working with limited information." "It is my fault," Dr. Carter insisted. "I am supposed to be the expert. And now I have destroyed our alliance before it even started." "Actually," Amy said slowly, "maybe you saved it." They both looked at her. "Think about it," Amy continued. "If Jake had done something to insult the Queen accidentally, without offering anything in return, we would be in much worse trouble. But this way, the Queen seems willing to work with us. She finds it funny, even." Before anyone could respond, Jake's communicator beeped. Admiral Kevin Hayes appeared on the small screen. He did not look happy. "Commander Morrison," the Admiral said, his voice tight. "I have just received the strangest report from the Valthene government. Please tell me it is not true." "Admiral, I can explain," Jake started. "Explain? You proposed marriage to their queen." "It was an accident, sir." "An accident," the Admiral repeated. He rubbed his temples. "Morrison, how do you accidentally propose marriage?" Jake explained the whole thing while the Admiral listened. When he finished, the Admiral was quiet for a long time. "Sir?" Jake said nervously. "Do you understand what is at stake here?" the Admiral asked. "The Valthene control 3 major trade routes. They have defensive pacts with half the civilized galaxy. If we insult them now, Earth will be isolated. We will be easy prey for the Zathran Collective and every other hostile species out there." "I understand, sir." "Then you understand why you are going to go through with this engagement." Jake's stomach dropped. "Sir? 6 months, Morrison. You are going to spend 6 months being the perfect fiancé to Queen Lysara. You are going to learn their culture. You are going to make them love humanity. And at the end, if she agrees to part ways respectfully, we will have the alliance we need. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir," Jake said quietly. "Good. And Morrison? Do not mess this up again." The Admiral's face disappeared from the screen. Amy looked at Jake sympathetically. "Orders are orders. I need some air," Jake said. He stood up and headed for the door. "Jake," Dr. Carter called after him, "for what it is worth, Queen Lysara seems like a decent person. Maybe this will not be so terrible." Jake hoped she was right. The next morning, a Valthene shuttle arrived to take Jake down to the planet. The pilot was a young Valthene male named Turn, who kept glancing at Jake like he was trying not to laugh. "Is something funny?" Jake asked. "Sorry, Commander," Turn said. "It is just that everyone is talking about you. The human who accidentally proposed to the Queen. It is very romantic. Everyone." "Romantic?" "Oh yes. The Valthene love unexpected romance. There are already songs being written about it. Jake groaned and sank lower in his seat. The shuttle landed at the palace. This time, there was no huge ceremony. A single Valthene woman in simple robes waited for him. She was older, with kind eyes. "Commander Morrison, I am Essa, the Queen's personal aide. Her Majesty is waiting for you in the garden." Jake followed Essa through the palace. It was even more beautiful in daylight. Sunlight streamed through crystal windows, making rainbow patterns on the walls. They passed Valthene nobles who stopped and stared at Jake. Some smiled. The garden was enormous. Strange alien plants grew everywhere, in colors Jake had never seen before. In the center was a fountain that seemed to float in the air, water flowing up instead of down. Queen Lysara sat on a bench near the fountain. She wore simpler clothes today, pale blue robes without all the fancy decorations. She looked almost normal. Well, as normal as a 7-foot-tall silver alien could look. "Commander Morrison," she said, standing. "Please, sit with me." Jake sat down carefully on the bench. It was bigger than human furniture, made for Valthene height. "I wanted to speak with you privately," Lysara said. "Away from the court, and all their staring eyes." "Thank you," Jake said. "Your Majesty, I want to apologize again for yesterday." Lysara held up a hand. "Please, no more apologies. It was an honest mistake. And if I am to be your fiancé for 6 months, you should call me Lysara, not Your Majesty." "Lysara," Jake said, testing the name. She smiled. "I imagine many things will take getting used to. For both of us." "A." She smiled. "A." She smiled. She smiled. "I imagine many things will take getting used to." They sat in silence for a moment, listening to the strange bird song from the alien trees. "Can I ask you something?" Jake said. "Of course. Yesterday, you could have been angry. You could have had me arrested or thrown off the planet. But you laughed instead. Why?" Lysara tilted her head, thinking. "Would anger have solved anything? You made a mistake, but you meant no harm. I could see that in your eyes. Fear, yes. Confusion, definitely, but no malice." She looked at him directly. "And honestly, I found the situation absurd. What else could I do but laugh?" "Most leaders would not see it that way," Jake said. "Perhaps that is why I am queen, and they are not." Lysara replied with a small smile. "Tell me, Jake Morrison, what do you think of our world so far?" "It is beautiful," Jake said honestly. "I have dreamed of meeting aliens since I was a child. I just never imagined it would go quite like this." "Life rarely goes as we imagine," Lysara said. "But sometimes the unexpected paths lead to interesting destinations." A thought occurred to Jake. "Can I ask you something else?" "About the engagement? Tradition?" "Yes. Is there really no other way out? Only the 6 months and mutual agreement?" Lysara was quiet for a moment. "There are other ways," she admitted. "But they are not pleasant. One of us could claim the other is unworthy, but that would be a terrible insult, or I could simply break the tradition. But that would make me look weak to my people. Some already question whether a woman should rule the empire. I cannot give them more ammunition. When you can with a break the 24 peace, or next divide then." Jake had not thought about that. "You have political enemies. Every ruler does," Lysara said. "There are those who believe humans are too primitive for alliance. Others who think I am too young and foolish. This situation gives them much to whisper about." "Then we will prove them wrong," Jake said. "Both of us." Lysara looked at him with surprise. "You are taking this better than I expected. I have my orders," Jake said. "But honestly, talking with you now, I think I understand. You are in a difficult position too. We are both trying to do what is best for our people." "Exactly," Lysara said. She sounded relieved. "I might have yesterday," Jake admitted. "But I had time to think. 6 months is not forever. And if it helps Earth, then it is worth it. A soldier's answer, Lasara observed. But I hope you will find it is more than just duty. Before Jake could ask what she meant, a Valthene man hurried into the garden. He was young and wore military insignia on his uniform. Your Majesty, he said, bowing quickly. Forgive the interruption. But you asked to be informed immediately if another human ship arrived. Lasara frowned. Another ship? Yes, Majesty. The ship calls itself Discovery. Its commander requests an immediate audience. He says it is urgent. Jake felt a cold feeling in his stomach. The Discovery. That was Commander Ryan Peters's ship. Ryan was ambitious and competitive. If he was here, it was not good news. Show him to the throne room, Lasara said. She looked at Jake. Do you know this, Commander Peters? We trained together, Jake said carefully. Lysara's eyes narrowed. I see. Then we should go meet him. Together, they walked back to the palace side by side. Jake could not shake the feeling that things were about to get much more complicated. Commander Ryan Peters stood in the throne room with his arms crossed, looking impatient. He was tall and handsome, with perfect posture and a perfect uniform. Everything about Ryan was perfect, which was exactly why Jake had never liked him. When Jake entered with Queen Lysara, Ryan's eyes widened for just a moment. Then his expression smoothed into a professional smile. Commander Morrison, Ryan said. What a surprise to see you here. Commander Peters, Jake replied coolly. What brings the Discovery to Valthos? Official business, Ryan said. He turned to Lysara and bowed deeply. Your Majesty, I come with greetings from Earth's diplomatic corps. I am here to assist with establishing formal relations between our peoples. You. We already have a representative, Lasara said, gesturing to Jake. Commander Morrison is handling diplomatic matters quite well. Ryan's smile tightened. With all respect. Your Majesty, Commander Morrison is a military officer. I am a trained diplomat. I believe Earth Command sent me to provide proper guidance for these delicate negotiations. Is that so? Lasara's voice was calm, but Jake heard the steel underneath. And did Earth Command inform you of Commander Morrison's current status? Ryan hesitated. I heard some rumors, but surely those cannot be true. Commander Morrison and I are engaged, Lasara said clearly. According to Valthene custom and law, he is not simply a representative. He is my chosen partner. The color drained from Ryan's face. For a moment, he just stared. Then he laughed, sharp and disbelieving. You cannot be serious. Morrison, what did you do? It is a long story, Jake said. I am sure it is, Ryan said. Your Majesty, surely you understand this was some kind of mistake. Morrison has always been clumsy with protocol. I can help fix this situation. Lasara drew herself up to her full height. Her eyes went cold. There is nothing to fix, Commander Peters. What exists between Commander Morrison and myself is a legitimate arrangement. Are you suggesting that I, Queen of the Valthene Empire, do not know my own customs and laws? Ryan realized his mistake too late. No, Your Majesty. I only meant. I know what you meant, Lasara said. You may remain on Valthos as an observer, Commander Peters. But Commander Morrison is my official contact with humanity. That is final. Ryan's jaw tightened. He bowed stiffly. As you wish, Your Majesty. He shot Jake a look that promised this was not over, then left the throne room. When he was gone, Lasara let out a long breath. That man is exhausting. Jake felt surprised, laughter bubble up. You have no idea. Over the next 2 weeks, Jake settled into a strange new routine. His mornings were spent aboard the Horizon, handling ship business and filing reports to Earth. His afternoons and evenings belonged to Lasara. She showed him her world. They walked through markets where Valthene sold goods from a dozen different planets. They visited museums full of ancient artifacts. She took him to a performance of Valthene music, which sounded like wind chimes and waterfalls mixed together. In return, Jake taught her about Earth. He showed her recordings of human music. She was fascinated by jazz and could not understand opera at all. He told her stories about Earth's history, about the wars and peace, the struggles and triumphs. "Your people are very violent," Lysara observed one evening. They sat in her private study, a cozy room filled with books and soft light. "We are," Jake admitted. "But we are also capable of great kindness, great creativity. We are learning." "All young species are violent," Lysara said. "The Valthene fought terrible wars in our past. It took thousands of years to move beyond them." She looked at Jake, seriously. "But you must move beyond them, Jake. The galaxy is dangerous. Species that cannot control their violent impulses do not survive long out here." "I know," Jake said. "That is why we need allies like you. To teach us. To help us grow." Lysara smiled. "You are different than I expected." "What did you expect?" "I am not sure. Someone more arrogant, perhaps. More rigid. But you listen. You learn. You do not assume human ways are the only ways." "I grew up reading stories about explorers," Jake said. "The ones who survived were the ones who respected the cultures they encountered. The ones who did not, well, their stories ended badly." "A wise lesson," Lysara said. They fell into comfortable silence. It had been happening more often lately. Jake found he did not mind spending time with Lysara. She was intelligent and funny, with a dry sense of humor that caught him off guard. When she was not being a queen, she was just Lysara, someone he was starting to consider a friend. His communicator beeped. It was Amy. "Jake. We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "The Zathran kind. We are picking up distress signals from a Valthene outpost near human space. They are under attack. The. Jake was on his feet immediately. "How many ships?" "At least 6 Zathran cruisers. The outpost is holding, but they are taking heavy damage." Lysara was standing too, her expression sharp. "That outpost guards a major trade route. If it falls, the Zathran will have a clear path to attack both Valthene and human colonies." "We need to respond," Jake said. "Agreed." Lysara was already moving toward the door. "I will gather my fleet. This requires the Queen's personal attention." "I am coming with you," Jake said. Lysara stopped. "Jake, this is a military operation. You do not have to." "You said we are partners," Jake interrupted. "Partners stand together, especially in battle." Lysara studied his face. Whatever she saw there made her nod. "Very well. But you follow my orders on my ship. Understood?" "Understood," Jake said. Within the hour, they were aboard Lysara's flagship, the Star Crown. It was massive, 3 times the size of the horizon. The bridge was a circular room with holographic displays floating in the air. Valthene officers worked at stations around the edges. Lysara took her position at the center. She had changed into battle armor. Dark, purple, and silver. She looked like a warrior queen from legend. "Status," she commanded. 3 Valthene defense ships are protecting the outpost," a young officer reported. "They are outnumbered. Estimated time until outpost shields fail is 20 minutes. How long until we arrive?" Lysara asked. 15 minutes at maximum speed. Then we go maximum speed, Lysara said. Signal the fleet. Attack formation beta. We hit them hard. And fast. Jake watched as the fleet jumped to faster than light speed. Through the windows, stars streaked past like rain. He had seen combat before, but never on this scale. The Valthene fleet numbered 20 ships, each one bristling with weapons. Nervous? Lysara asked quietly. Terrified, Jake admitted. But ready. She smiled. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. They dropped out of faster than light, right on top of the battle. The Zathran ships were ugly things. All sharp angles and dark metal. They had the outposts surrounded. The Valthene defense ships were barely holding on. All ships, engage, Lysara ordered. The Star Crown opened fire. Energy beams lanced out, slamming into the nearest Zathran ship. The other Valthene ships followed suit. Suddenly, the odds had changed. The Zathran fleet broke formation, trying to scatter. Do not let them escape, Lysara said. They came to our territory. They attack our people. They must learn this has consequences. Jake watched as she commanded the battle. She was brilliant. Every order was precise. She saw 3 moves ahead, predicting where the enemy would go before they got there. Within minutes, 2 Zathran ships were destroyed. The others tried to flee. The command ship is making a run for it, an officer called out. Intercept, Lysara ordered. But the Zathran ship was fast. It would reach the jump point before they could catch it. Wait, Jake said. An idea was forming. Lysara, can your ships do a precision jump? Yes, but it is dangerous. Why? Jake pointed at the holographic display. If 2 of your fastest ships jump here and here, they can cut off the escape route. The command ship will be trapped between your forces and ours. Lysara looked at the display. Her eyes widened. That could work. She gave the orders. 2 Valthene ships vanished in flashes of light. 5 seconds later, they reappeared exactly where Jake had predicted. The Zathran command ship found itself boxed in. Surrender or be destroyed, Lysara transmitted. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, the Zathran ship powered down its weapons. Board them, Lysara ordered. I want their commander alive. We will learn why they attacked us. The battle was over. The outpost was saved. Around the bridge, Valthene officers were cheering. Lysara turned to Jake. Her eyes were bright with admiration. That was brilliant. Just basic tactics, Jake said. But he felt his face heating up. No, Lysara said firmly. That was more than basic. You saw the solution in seconds. You think like a warrior. Jake Morrison. Later, after the prisoners were secured and the damaged ships were being repaired, Lysara found Jake in the observation deck. He was staring out at the stars, thinking, what troubles you? We did, Jake said, but this attack was planned, coordinated. The Zathran were testing your defenses. This is not over. I know, Lysara said quietly. She stood beside him. There is something you should know. We captured the Zathran commander. Under questioning, he revealed they have spies in my court. Someone gave them information about our patrol schedules. Jake looked at her sharply. Someone is helping them? It appears so, Lysara said. Someone who does not want peace between your people and mine. Jake thought about Ryan Peters showing up unexpectedly. About the Valthene nobles, who had looked at him with barely hidden contempt. We need to find out who. We will, Lysara said. But carefully. If we accuse the wrong person, it could tear the court apart. They stood together in silence, watching the stars. Jake realized he was standing closer to Lysara than he had before, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. She did not move away. Thank you for coming with me today, Lysara said softly. I have commanded battles before, but never with someone I trusted beside me. You trust me? Jake asked. I do, Lysara said. She turned to look at him. More than I expected to. Is that strange? No, Jake said. His heart was beating faster. For a moment, they just looked at each other. Then Lysara smiled. That warm, genuine smile he was starting to know well. Come, she said. Let us return to Valthos. We have a spy to catch. 4 months had passed since Jake's accidental proposal. 4 months of diplomatic meetings, cultural exchanges, and quiet evenings in Lysara's study. 4 months of learning to read her expressions, understanding her silences, making her laugh with stories about human absurdities. Jake sat in his quarters on the horizon, staring at a message from his younger brother Danny back on Earth. Danny's face filled the screen, grinning. So, big brother, I have been following the news. You and the alien queen. Everyone is talking about it. Mom is telling everyone at her book club that her son is practically royalty now. Jake smiled. His family had taken the news surprisingly well. His mother had been shocked at first, then excited. His father had simply said, "Well, you always did things your own way." Danny's expression turned serious. "But Jake, I gotta ask, are you okay? Really okay? Because all the news shows and reports talk about duty and diplomacy. Nobody talks about you. What do you want?" That was the question, was it not? What did Jake want? He had 2 months left before the engagement period ended. 2 months to decide if he would ask for the mutual dissolution and return to his old life. Return to being just Commander Morrison, not the human engaged to an alien queen. The problem was, he was not sure he wanted that anymore. The door chimed. Amy walked in without waiting for permission. She took one look at Jake's face and sat down. "You are thinking about her. Is it that obvious?" "Jake, you smile every time someone mentions her name. You have about 50 pictures of Valthos saved on your datapad. Last week you spent 3 hours learning to pronounce a Valthene poem so you could surprise her." Amy leaned forward. "You are in love with her." "That is ridiculous," Jake said. But his voice lacked conviction. "Is it? Look, I know this started as an accident, but I have watched you two together. The way you look at each other. The way you finish each other's sentences now. That is not duty, Jake. That is something real." Jake ran his hands through his hair. "Even if that is true, this is complicated. She is a queen. She lives for 200 years. I am just a human, who will be old and gray while she is still young. What kind of future is that?" "I do not know," Amy said honestly. "But is no future with her better? Because that is what you get if you walk away." Before Jake could respond, Dr. Carter's voice came over the ship's communication system. "Commander Morrison, please report to the analysis lab immediately. It is urgent." Jake and Amy hurried to the lab. Dr. Carter was there with her assistant, both staring at a holographic display. Their faces were grim. "What is it?" Jake asked. Dr. Carter pulled up a series of financial records. "I have been studying Valthene political structures, trying to understand their power dynamics better. I found something strange. There is a Valthene noble named Lord Kazan. Over the past 6 months, he has been moving large amounts of money through hidden accounts. Maybe he is just rich," Amy suggested. "That is what I thought at first, Dr. Carter said. "But look at the timing. Large payments go out, and days later, the Zathran attack somewhere. It happened 3 times in the last 2 months. Jake felt cold. "You think he is paying the Zathran to attack?" "I think he is coordinating with them," Dr. Carter said. "But I do not understand why. He is a wealthy, powerful noble. What does he gain?" "Chaos," Amy said slowly. "If the Valthene people believe their queen cannot protect them, if they think her alliance with humans brought the attacks, they might want a new ruler," Jake finished. "Someone strong. Someone who promises security. Someone like Lord Kazan," Dr. Carter said. Jake grabbed the data. "We need to tell Lysara. Now." They transported down to the palace and found Lysara in a council meeting. High Chancellor Varric was there, along with several other important nobles. And, sitting to one side with a smug expression, Lord Kazan himself. Kazan was older than most Valthene Jake had met, with silver hair and cold eyes. He wore robes of deep red, covered in medals and honors. Jake burst into the room. Several guards moved to stop him, but Lysara held up her hand. Jake? What is wrong? I need to speak with you. Privately. Now. Lysara saw the urgency in his face. We will take a short break, she announced to the council. She led Jake to a small side chamber. What is it? She asked, concerned. Jake showed her the data. Explained what Dr. Carter had found. As he talked, Lysara's expression went from confused to horrified to coldly furious. Kazan, she said quietly. He has been pushing for harsher security measures, arguing that my alliance with humanity makes us weak. And all along, he was the one orchestrating the attacks. We need to arrest him, Jake said. It is not that simple, Lysara said. Kazan is powerful. He has allies. If we move against him without absolute proof, his supporters will cry conspiracy. It could split the court. Then we get proof, Jake said. Lysara thought for a moment. The Festival of Unity is in 3 days. It is when we will formally announce whether our engagement continues or ends. Kazan will be there. So will all the court and thousands of citizens. You think he will try something at the festival? I am certain of it, Lysara said. It would be the perfect opportunity. A huge crowd. Maximum chaos. He could blame the attack on human extremists who oppose our union. Then we set a trap, Jake said. We let him think his plan is working. But we are ready. Lysara nodded slowly. It is risky. I know, Jake said. But we do not have a choice. They returned to the council. Jake left, but not before noticing Kazan watching him with calculating eyes. That night, Jake could not sleep. He kept thinking about the festival, about Kazan's plan, about what would happen if they failed. He went to the palace garden, the same place where he and Lysara had first talked privately. He found her already there, sitting by the floating fountain. I thought I might find you here, Lysara said. Cannot sleep either? Too much to think about, Jake admitted. He sat beside her. They were quiet for a while. The alien stars shone overhead, constellations Jake was starting to recognize. Jake, Lysara said. If something happens at the festival, if Kazan succeeds, he will not, Jake interrupted. But if he does, Lysara continued, there are things I need you to know. Lysara, do not. Please, let me say this. She turned to face him fully. When you first came here, I thought this engagement would be a diplomatic inconvenience. 6 months of pretending, then back to normal life. But it did not work out that way. Don't forget her. Thanks for watching. Jake's heart started beating faster. You made me laugh? Lysara said softly. You listened when I talked about the pressures of ruling. You saw me as Lysara, not just Queen Lysara. Do you know how rare that is? Most people cannot see past the crown. I see you, Jake said. I know you do, Lysara said. And somewhere along the way, I stopped pretending. These feelings are real, Jake. At least for me. I need you to know that. Jake reached out and took her hand. Her skin was warm and smooth, familiar now. They are real for me too. I was trying not to think about it because it seemed impossible. You are a queen. I am just a human soldier. We live different lifespans. We are from different worlds. Juan. All true, Lysara said. But does that make what we feel less real? No, Jake said. It does not. Then what do we do? Lysara asked. I do not know, Jake admitted. But I know I do not want to walk away. Not after 2 months. Not ever. Lysara smiled, and it was like the sun coming out. Good, because I was prepared to fight very hard to make you stay. Jake laughed. You would have to fight me? I am pretty sure I am the one who would be begging you to keep me. We could both beg, Lysara suggested. See who gives in first. They sat there holding hands, making plans for the festival, trying not to think about all the ways things could go wrong. Jake realized that at some point, his life had become intertwined with hers, not because of an accident or duty, but because of choice. He chose her, and she chose him. The next 2 days passed in a blur of preparation. Amy coordinated security with Valthene guards. Dr. Carter worked with High Chancellor Varric to gather more evidence against Kazan. Jake trained with the security teams, preparing for every possible scenario. Ryan Peters tried to insert himself into the planning, but Lasara shut him down firmly. "This is not your concern, Commander Peters." On the morning of the festival, Jake stood in his quarters getting ready. He wore formal clothes, half human military dress, and half Valthene ceremonial robes. It looked strange, but somehow worked. His communicator beeped. It was Danny again. "Big day, brother," Danny said. "Are you going to do it? Are you going to make it real?" "If we survive," Jake said. "You will survive," Danny said with confidence. "You always do. And Jake, I am proud of you. Not because you are engaged to a queen, because you found someone who makes you happy. That is what matters." "Thanks, Danny," Jake said. His throat felt tight. Go get her, big brother. The festival grounds were packed with people. Valthene, from across the planet, had come to see their queen announce the fate of her engagement. Humans from the Horizon and Discovery mingled with the crowd. Music played. Lights danced in the air. Jake stood beside Lasara on the raised platform. She looked magnificent in robes of silver and blue, her crown glittering in the light. But it was her face that Jake could not stop looking at. Nervous, determined, beautiful. "Are you ready?" she asked quietly. "Ready," Jake said. Somewhere in the crowd, Kazan was watching, waiting to make his move. This was it. The moment everything would change. Lasara stepped forward to address her people. Her voice rang out clear and strong. "My people, I stand before you today to speak of the future. 4 months ago, Commander Jake Morrison of Earth accidentally invoked our marriage proposal tradition. What began as a cultural mistake has become something neither of us expected." The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Jake watched the crowd carefully, looking for anything wrong, any sign of Kazan's plan. Then he saw it. A group of Valthene in dark clothes, moving purposefully through the crowd, their hands inside their robes. "Lasara," Jake said urgently. "North side. Now." But it was too late. The attack had begun. The attackers pulled out weapons. Energy pistols crackled to life. People screamed. The crowd scattered in panic, but Amy and her security team were ready. They had been waiting for this. Valthene guards moved in from all sides, surrounding the attackers. Human and Valthene security worked together, just as they had practiced. "Down!" Jake shouted, pulling Lasara behind the platform's protective barrier. Energy blasts hit the platform where they had been standing. Jake looked around frantically for threats. More attackers were closing in from multiple directions. This was bigger than they thought. "There are too many," Lasara said. "This is not just Kazan. This is a full conspiracy." High Chancellor Varric rushed to their side, his face grim. "Your Majesty, we must evacuate you." "No," Lasara said firmly. "If I run now, they win. My people will see me as weak." Another explosion rocked the platform. Jake saw Amy fighting hand-to-hand with a Valthene attacker twice her size. She was holding her own. Then Jake saw Lord Kazan. He was not running or hiding. He stood on the edge of the crowd, watching the chaos with satisfaction, waiting for the right moment. "There," Jake pointed. "Kazan. He is waiting for us to evacuate. That is when he will make his move. Then we give him what he wants," Lasara said. She stood up, fully visible. "Kazan," her voice carried across the festival grounds. "I know what you have done." The fighting paused. Everyone turned to look. Kazan smiled coldly. "I have done nothing, Your Majesty, except watch you make a fool of yourself with this human. You paid the Zathran to attack us," Lasara called out. "You orchestrated this entire assault. All so you could take my throne. Prove it." Kazan said. He turned to address the crowd. Our queen is desperate. She accuses me because she knows her alliance with humans has made us weak. The Zathran attack because we show weakness. Some in the crowd murmured agreement. Kazan had support, more than Jake realized. Show them, Jake said quietly to Lysara. Show them the evidence. Lysara nodded to Varric. Holographic displays appeared in the air above the festival grounds. Financial records. Communications between Kazan and Zathran commanders. Proof of the conspiracy, clear and undeniable. The crowd gasped. Kazan's supporters backed away from him. Lies, Kazan shouted. Computer fabrications. The human did this to discredit me. The human saved me, Lysara said. Commander Morrison discovered your treachery. He fought beside me against the Zathran you paid to attack us. He has shown more loyalty to Valthos in 4 months than you have in a lifetime. Kazan's face twisted with rage. This is what happens when a queen chooses sentiment over strength. When she puts her feelings for an alien above her people. He pulled out a weapon. A big one. And he aimed it directly at Jake. You want to prove humans and Valthene can be together? Kazan snarled. Let us see how the queen rules when her pet human is dead. Everything happened at once. Kazan fired. Jake saw the energy blast coming and knew he could not dodge it. He threw himself in front of Lysara. The blast hit him in the shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. He heard Lysara scream his name. He felt himself falling. Then he heard another shot. Amy had fired. Her shot hit Kazan square in the chest. He went down. Valthene guards swarmed over Kazan and his co-conspirators. The battle was over in seconds. But Jake could barely see it. His vision was blurring. His shoulder felt like it was on fire. Lysara's face appeared above him. She was crying. Silver tears running down her cheeks. Jake, no. Stay with me. Please stay with me. Did we win? Jake managed to ask. Yes, you foolish human. We won. But you are hurt. Worth it, Jake said. Then the darkness took him. He woke up in a medical facility. The ceiling was white and glowing softly. His shoulder was bandaged and hurt, but not as badly as before. Good drugs? Probably. Lysara was sitting beside his bed, holding his hand. She looked exhausted. When she saw his eyes open, relief flooded her face. You are awake. How long? Jake asked. His voice was rough. 2 days. Your injury was serious, but Valthene medical technology is advanced. You will heal completely. Kazan? In prison, along with 23 co-conspirators. Lysara's voice was hard. They will face trial for treason. The evidence was overwhelming. Even his supporters have turned against him. Good, Jake said. He tried to sit up and winced. Do not move, Lysara ordered. You took an energy blast meant for me. Do you have any idea how reckless that was? Pretty reckless, Jake admitted. But I was not going to let him hurt you. Jake Morrison, Lysara said. And now she was crying again. You almost died, but I did not. Jake pointed out. And now, you are stuck with me. Lysara laughed through her tears. You are ridiculous. You like ridiculous, Jake said. He squeezed her hand. Lysara, I want you to know. My answer is yes. Yes, to the engagement. To making it real. To whatever future we can build together. Jake looked into her eyes. I love you. I probably should not. Jake looked about her. Jake looked about her. It is complicated and strange and goes against everything logical. But I do. Lysara's face lit up with joy. I love you too. I have for weeks now. But was afraid to say it. Afraid you would think I was only saying it for political reasons. I could never think that, Jake said. Good. Because when you are healed, we are getting married. Properly. With both human and Valthene traditions. and I am not taking no for an answer. 1. Action 7. Action 7. Action 7. 1. Action. Action. Action 7. Actions. Action 7. Who said anything about saying no? Jake grinned, despite the pain. Though my mother is going to have opinions about the wedding planning. Let her have opinions, Lasara said. This is going to be the biggest wedding in galactic history. Over the next week, Jake recovered quickly. Valthene medicine was impressive. By the time he could walk without help, the entire galaxy had heard what happened. The story spread fast. The human commander, who took a blast for his alien queen. The queen who exposed a traitor to save her people and her love. News services across dozens worlds covered it. Jake's face was everywhere. His family called. His mother cried happy tears. His father gave him advice about marriage that somehow applied even to marrying an alien queen. Danny just laughed and said, I told you so. Well, Admiral Hayes called too. He looked tired but pleased. Morrison, you have done more for human-alien relations in 6 months than our diplomats achieved in years. Earth Command is grateful. Thank you, sir, Jake said. And Morrison, be happy. That is an order. 3 months later, Jake stood in the palace gardens wearing a mix of human and Valthene formal clothes. His shoulder had healed completely. Barely even a scar. Amy stood beside him as his best woman, grinning from ear to ear. The garden was full of people, humans and Valthene mixed together. His family had come from Earth, his mother already crying before the ceremony even started. Lasara's sister Nera was there, along with hundreds of Valthene nobles and dignitaries from a dozen other alien species. Even Ryan Peters had shown up, looking humbled. He had approached Jake the day before. I was wrong about you, Ryan admitted. I thought you were just lucky. But you earned this. All of it. Thank you, Jake had said, and meant it. Now, watching the gathered crowd, Jake felt a wave of emotion. A year ago, he was just a commander, hoping to make first contact. Now, he was about to marry a queen and unite 2 civilizations. The music started. Valthene instruments mixed with human violins. It was strange and beautiful. Lasara appeared at the end of the garden path. She wore robes that seemed to be made of starlight itself, shifting and glowing. Her crown caught the sun and threw rainbow patterns across the garden. But it was her smile that took Jake's breath away. Pure joy, pure love. She walked toward him, and Jake thought his heart might burst. They met in the center of the garden, in front of High Chancellor Varric, who would perform the ceremony. We gather today, Varric began, to witness a union unlike any before. 2 people from 2 worlds. 2 hearts that found each other through accident and stayed together through choice. The ceremony was long, mixing traditions from both cultures. They exchanged vows in English and Valthene. They placed crystals from both their worlds into a joined container, symbolizing the merging of their lives. When it came time for Jake to speak his personal vows, he took Lasara's hands. Lasara, 4 months ago I made the biggest mistake of my life. I proposed to you completely by accident. But standing here now, I realize it was not a mistake at all. It was fate. It was the universe pushing me toward the person I was meant to find. You make me better. You make me braver. You make me want to be worthy of standing beside you. I promise to honor you, protect you, and make you laugh at terrible human jokes for as long as I live. The crowd laughed. Lasara was crying again. Jake Morrison, she said, you stumbled into my throne room and turned my entire life upside down. You made me question everything I thought I knew about love and partnership. You taught me that the best things in life are not planned. They are discovered. I promise to stand with you, to build a future where our peoples can thrive together, and to never, ever, let you read a cultural briefing without supervision. More laughter. Jake felt tears on his own cheeks now. By the power of the Valthene Empire and the authority granted me, Varric said. I declare you married. In the eyes of both your peoples and all the galaxy. Jake kissed his wife. His alien queen. The love of his life. The crowd erupted in cheers that seemed to shake the sky. Ships flew overhead in formation. The horizon and the star crown together. Human and Valthine united. That evening, after the celebration had moved inside and the dancing had begun, Jake and Lasara slipped away to the balcony. They stood looking out at the city below, where humans and Valthine walked together, celebrating. So, Lasara said, leaning against him. How does it feel to be married to an alien queen? Strange, Jake admitted. Wonderful. Terrifying. All of it at once. Same, Lasara said. But I would not change a single thing, not even the part where I accidentally proposed, especially not that part, Lasara said. I should write a book. A guide for other humans visiting Valthos. Chapter 1. How to accidentally marry a queen. Chapter 2. How to make it work. 11. Chapter 3. How to survive meeting your alien mother-in-law, Jake added. He had met Lasara's mother last week. She was even more intimidating than Lasara. They laughed together, holding each other close. Below them, their two peoples celebrated together. Children played. Human and Valthine learning each other's games. Old barriers were falling. New friendships were forming. You know what the best part is? Jake said. What? I get to spend the next however many years with you. Learning, growing, building something amazing together. Lasara turned in his arms. However, many years is not enough. I want forever. Then we will make our own forever, Jake said. One day at a time. They kissed again as the two moons rose over Valthos. Somewhere in the palace, Dr. Carter was probably writing everything down for historical records. Amy was probably dancing with some Valthine warrior twice her size. The Admiral was probably already planning the next joint human-Valthine mission. But here, on this balcony, it was just Jake and Lasara, two people from different worlds who had found each other through the universe's strangest accident. And it was perfect. Years later, when people asked Jake about how he met his wife, he always told the truth. He walked into a throne room, tried to be diplomatic, and accidentally proposed marriage to an alien queen. And she, wonder of wonders, said yes, not because she had to, not because of duty or politics or alliance, but because sometimes the best things in life are the ones you never planned, the ones that start with a mistake and end with love, the ones that bring two worlds together. And that, Jake thought as he held his wife and watched their two peoples celebrate below, was a pretty good ending. Or perhaps it was just the beginning.